Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, we make trendy and fun crochet tutorials twice a week. And if you haven't already, smash that like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe to join in on the fun. In today's tutorial, we're keeping things casual with an almond stitch tee. This short sleeve V is the perfect companion with jeans for a no-fuss fit on those dress-down days when you're on the go. Speaking of, if you're looking for more casual crochet makes, you've stumbled upon the right place. We have hundreds of modern crochet tutorials and patterns with even more dropping twice weekly, so consider clicking the bell to subscribe and you'll never miss an upload. Also, do me a huge favor and give this video a big thumbs up if you like it, or 2 thumbs down if you don't. Either way, it's a great way to show support so I can keep putting out free tutorials every Wednesday and Sunday. Now it's time to get on the show, so without further ado. For this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a total of 415 grams of yarn. That's 930 yards if you're stateside. As for tools, a 6mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There is a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order, and enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us if you prefer earrings, rings, or necklaces. I'm pretty sure I've gone through every phase under the sun, but I'm currently loving earrings. Details for the giveaway down below. We're using 3 stitches for this project, and they'll be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, and half double crochet. This tutorial is made for a size small, but you can adjust it for your size, and we explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting this sweater started, we're all going to grab our category 4 yarn and make a slip knot. Then we're all going to grab our 6mm hook and start off by making a chain that is in multiples of 8 that starts from the top of our shoulder down to where like the bottom of the sweater to be, so you can make this cropped or full length. I'd like for mine to be full length, so I'm going to start by making a chain of 72. That's roughly 21 inches or 53 centimeters. Now that we have our chain, we are then going to do an additional 4 chains. Now this is going to count as our base chain as well. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now from here, we're going to do our turning chain. So block off that last chain and do a chain 1. That chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch. That's our turning chain, like I said. Now we're going to be doing 4 slip stitches. So into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, insert with our first slip stitch, insert, yarn over, and gently pull through everything on our hook. So we do want to make sure that we are not tugging too tightly after every slip stitch, otherwise the following row would be too tight to work into. And we're going to be doing 3 more into the following 3 chains. So there's my first, into that following chain, insert, pull through 2, into that following chain, pull through 2, and into that following chain, pull through 2. Now from here, we should all have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. Now it's going to be 4 half double crochets. So to get this started, yarn over, into that following chain, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3. That is our first half double crochet. We're going to be doing 3 more. Yarn over, following chain, pull through 3 for our second. Yarn over, next chain, pull through 3 for our third. And next chain, yarn over, insert, pull through 3 for our 4th half double crochet. Now from here, we are going to alternate between 4 slip stitches and 4 half double crochets to reach the end of the row. So just to get the following 8 stitches done together, into that next chain, insert with our first slip stitch. There's 1, there's 2 slip stitches, 3 slip stitch, and 4. Then after that, 4 half doubles. Yarn over with our first half double, second half double, third half double, and 4th half double crochet. And that's it. We're going to continue to repeat our 8 previous stitches until we reach the end of our row. And just as a really quick tip, everyone's last set of stitches should be 4 slip stitches. We are back. I've made my way all the way down with our row 1. Now this is going to be a 4-row repeat, so pretty simple. So what we're going to do next is our row 2. So let's all chain 1 and flip our work. Now our second row in our 4-row repeat is going to be done exactly the same way, but now within the back loops. So just to do the first 8 stitches together, find that first stitch from our previous row, knot into our turning chain, insert into that back loop, starting with 4 back loop slip stitches. So yarn over, gently pull through 2. Into that next back loop, pull through 2, next back loop, still gently pull through 2, and next back loop, pull through 2. Now that is our first 4 stitches. Now 4 back loop half double crochets. Yarn over. Into that next stitch's back loop, pull through 3, and 3 more. Next stitch's back loop with our second. Next stitch's back loop with our third, and next stitch's back loop with our fourth back loop half double crochets. Now from here, continue on with 4 back loop slip and 4 back loop half double crochets to reach the end of the row. My row 2 is now complete. Now we are all going to get started on our row 3. So now we're going to chain 2 and flip our work. Now for our third row in our 3-row repeat, it's actually going to be pretty much the same way as our previous row, but with the stitches inversed. So what I mean by that is it's going to start with back loop half doubles, then back loop slips. So let's get this started. Yarn over, insert your hook into that first stitch's back loop, starting with 1 back loop half double, and continue until we all have a total of 4. So there's 2, there's 3, and then there's 4. And then to do our slip stitches. So in that first stitch's back loop, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4. We're going to continue on with these 8 stitches to reach the end of the row. Now since this is our third row repeat, since we started with 4 back loop half doubles, our last set of stitches should also be back loop half doubles. Our row 3 is now complete. Now we're going to get started on our row 4. So it's going to be a repeat of our row 3. So as a refresher, chain 2 and flip your work. Our row 4 is going to start with 4 back loop half doubles. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 back loop slip stitches. So there is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now continue to repeat these 8 stitches to reach the end of the row. So we are back. We have all just completed our first 4 rows. Now what we're going to do from here is actually just going to repeat our 4 previous rows until we have a shoulder portion that can reach from 2 inches past the tip of our shoulder all the way over to the side of the base of our neck. Now we aren't going to have any more increases or decreases, so we're just going to continue to repeat these 4 rows exactly the same way, and I will meet you back right after we finish up a repeat of row 4. So we are back. I have just finished up my shoulder portion for my front panel. I have a total of 20 rows and my width is roughly 5.5 inches or 14 centimeters. Now we're going to get started on the decrease side of our neckline. So all we're going to do is chain 1, flip our work, and then get started on our repeat of row 1's almond stitch detail, making our way all the way up, leaving the last 4 stitches. So we are back. We have made our way all the way down with our first decrease row. We should all have 4 stitches left, and now what we're going to do is our last 2 stitches. So our second to last stitch is going to be a back loop slip stitch into that following stitch, so that as per usual. And then into our last 3 stitches, a decrease of 3 back loop slip stitches. So insert your hook into that third to last back loop, pull through. Second to last, pull through, last, then yarn over and pull through 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on our hook. There we go. And now from here, we're all going to chain 1 and flip our work. Now since we're along the top, our following row is going to start with a decrease of 3 back loop slip stitches as well. So we're going to insert our hook into that first stitch's back loop, pull through, next stitch's back loop, pull through, following stitch's back loop, pull through all 4. Then we're going to continue on with this row per usual. So for everyone, we should have 3 back loop half double crochets to do to make sure that we're keeping up with our stitches. So all we're going to do is just do 1, 2, 3 back loop half double crochets. So far we should all have 4 stitches for this row. Then we're going to continue on repeating our previous row stitches. So 4 back loop slips and 4 back loop half doubles to reach the end of the row. Then at the end of the row, chain 2, flip our work, and get started on our following row. And then I'll meet you back when we all have just 4 stitches left. We are back. We are nearly finished with our third decrease row for our neckline. We should have all met back when we had 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches left. Now this decrease is going to be done the same way as our first decrease row. So into that fourth to last stitch, we're going to insert with 1 back loop slip. Then into the last 3 stitches, a decrease of 3 back loop slip stitches, just like that. And now our following row is going to start off the same way that we did our second decrease row. So chain 1 and flip our work. So start with a decrease of 3 back loop slips. So into that first stitch is back loop, pull through, second, pull through, third, yarn over, pull through all 4, and I'll continue on with the row per usual. So it should be 3 back loop half double crochets. So yarn over, into that first, next, and one right after that, and then continue on with the row per usual, and then I'll meet you back at the end of the row. So we are back. We have just finished up the first 4 rows for our decrease for the neckline. Now from here, it is going to be a repeat of our 4 previous rows until we have a portion that can reach from the side of the base of our neck over to mid-chest. And once we have that, I will meet you guys back right after we finish up a repeat of row 4, and then we can get started on the middle row and then work our way up to the other side. We are back, and the decrease half of our neckline is complete. I now have a total of 32 rows. My width is roughly 8.5 inches or 22 centimeters. And now all we're going to do is we're going to have 4 middle rows. And those 4 middle rows aren't going to have any increases or decreases. So just get the following 4 rows completed, and then I'll meet you guys back to get started on the increase side of our piece. We are back. Everyone's 4 middle rows should be completed. Now, since we're all along the bottom, we're going to get started on the increase portion of our neckline. So since we should all be along the bottom, we're all going to chain 1, flip our work, do our following almond stitches all the way up, leaving that last stitch, and then I'll meet you back. So we are back. We have made our way all the way up with our first increase row. We should have all left that last stitch, and what we're going to do into that last stitch is an increase of 3 back loop single crochets. So into that last stitch, we're going to insert with 1 back loop single, same stitch with a second back loop single, same stitch with a third back loop single crochet, and now this first increase row is complete. Now let's get started on our following row. We're all going to chain 1 and flip our work. Now since we're along the top of our piece, it's going to start with an increase of 3 back loop single crochets again. So just into that first stitch, insert with 1, with 2, with 3 back loop singles. Then from here, what we're going to do is put 1 back loop slip stitch starting with into the next 5 stitches. And we're working into the next 5 stitches instead of 4 because we do have 1 additional stitch that we did because of the increase from our previous row. So just into that following stitch, there is my first back loop slip. There's my second, third, fourth, and fifth. Then from here, continue on with our row per usual. So 4 back loop half double, 4 back loop slip to reach the end of the row. Then from there, once we reach the end of the row, we're all going to chain 2, flip our work, and then make our way all the way back up, doing that row's repeat, leaving the last stitch just so we can do our increase together once more. We are back. Our third increase row is nearly complete. Now we should have all left 1 stitch. Now just like how we did for our previous increase row that ended along the top right here, we're going to close off the row with 3 back loop single crochets. So all into that same last stitch with 1, with 2, and then with 3 single crochets. And now this row is complete. So now let's get started on the following row. So chain 1 and flip our work. It's going to start with an increase of 3 back loop single crochets. So there is 1, there's 2, and then there's 3. Then 5 back loop slip stitches into each of the next 5 stitches. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then continue on with this row per usual. So 4 back loop half double, 4 back loop slip to reach the end of the row. Then from here, it's just going to be a repeat of our 2 previous rows until we have the same amount of rows as the decreased portion of our neckline. Once we do, I'll meet you back so we can finish up with our shoulder. We are back. We have just finished up the increased side of our neckline. Now my total width is roughly 11.5 inches or 29 centimeters. And now from here, we're going to finish up with our shoulder. Now as a really quick tip, for our last increased row, we should have all ended up with the same amount of stitches that we made when we got started on this piece. So the same amount of stitches as chains made. Now from here, we're just going to continue on with our same almond stitch rows with no increases and no decreases until we have the same amount of rows as our first shoulder portion. Once we do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then I will meet you back. We are back. The entirety of our front panel is now complete. My width is roughly 11.5 inches or 29 centimeters. Now from here, before we get started on the back panel, we're all just going to single crochet across the top of the shoulders to make it easier to seam. As y'all can see, I've already done one side. So all we're going to do is just put 1 single crochet into every side row, working our way across the top. So start by inserting our hook into the top corner stitch of our front panel. Insert your yarn onto your hook, pull through and do a chain up of 1 just to secure. Now let's all start by finding our first side row, and this is mine right here. I'm going to find that top loop and insert in through there and do just 1 single crochet. Again, into our following side row, which this is mine right here, find that top loop, insert with 1 single crochet, and just to find the next side row as well, this is mine, insert your hook in through that top loop with 1 single crochet, and then into that next top loop, it might be a little hard to see, with a single crochet. And that's it. We're going to continue to do this, making our way all the way down, and when we don't have any more side rows left to work into, do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then repeat on the other side. We are back. The entirety of our front panel is now complete, including our single crochet rows on top of our shoulders. Now we're going to get started on our back panel. So that's going to be fairly simple. It's actually just going to be the same chain that we made when we got started on our front panel, and just our 4-row almond stitch row repeat with no increases and no decreases for the same amount of rows as the entirety as the front panel. Then once we have that, we're also going to do a single crochet row across the top of the back panel as well, just like how we did the shoulders, just 1 single crochet into every side row. And once we have the entirety of the back panel completed, I will meet you back so we can seam everything together. So we're back. Both our front and our back panel are completed, and now we're just going to single crochet to seam up the shoulders. So what we're going to do is first start by placing our front panel on top of our back panel. Then we're going to be inserting our hook into the top corner stitch of both the front and the back. Then pull through and do a chain up of 1 to secure. And now we're just going to single crochet in through both the front and the back panel. So start by finding that first stitch into the front panel, insert, next stitch into the back panel, insert, and single crochet together. Pretty simple. Once more, next stitch into the front, next stitch into the back, single crochet, and that's it. We're going to continue doing this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then repeat on the other side. We are back. We have just finished up seaming our shoulders. Now we're going to seam our sides. So first things first, let's all make sure that our work is still flipped wrong side out, meaning the seam that we have for the shoulders is still along the outside. Then we're all going to be inserting our stitch marker into any stitch from the top that is in multiples of 5. I've inserted my stitch marker into the 30th stitch from the top, that's roughly 7 inches or 18 centimeters. Then from here, we're going to insert our hook into the bottom corner stitch of both the front and the back panel, and do the same single crochet seam that we did for the shoulder, making our way up until we reach our stitch marker. Once we do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then repeat on the other side. So now that everything is all seamed up, we're ready to get started on our sleeves. So first things first, we're all going to make sure that our work is flipped right side out, right side up. Then we're all going to be inserting our hook into the stitch that we have that's nearest to our side seam within the armhole. Then what we're all going to do from here is start by making a chain that is in multiples of 8, the length that we'd like for our sleeve to be. Now I'd like for mine to be roughly 7.5 inches or 19 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain 24, which I already have, and once we have our final chain, Just like how we did for the base chain, we're going to add an additional 4 chains that will count as the base chain. So here is my additional 1, 2, 3, 4 that counts as the base chain. Then we're going to be doing our almond stitch all the way back. So block off that last chain and chain 1, and we're all going to start with 4 slip stitches. So into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, insert with our first slip stitch. Then we're going to continue on until we have a total of 4 slip stitches, 4 half doubles, then repeat. So 4 slip stitches, 4 half doubles again, making our way all the way down. So we are back and our row 1 is complete. Now the rows for this portion of our sleeve are going to be done pretty much the same way as the body, so no increases and no decreases. We're just going to need to connect it into the base. So what we're going to do is start by finding that next available stitch into the base. This is mine right here. I'm just going to slip stitch it into there to connect this first row, and now our first row is actually complete. Now from here we are going to need to work up to our following row, so slip stitch into that following stitch into the base. Now keeping in mind that none of these slip stitches into the base actually count as a stitch, it's just to connect. Then we're going to flip our work. And now that our work is flipped, we are going to continue on with our row 2. So per usual, 4 back loop slip stitches, 4 back loop half doubles to reach the end of the row. Then we're going to get started on our row 3 repeat, which is a chain 2, flip our work. Start with 4 back loop half double crochets, then do 4 back loop slip stitches, making our way all the way back, and I'll meet you back at the base. We are back. Our first 3 rows are now complete, and now we're just going to connect it into the base. Now only for the 3rd row, it is not going to be connected the same way as our previous rows. Since it ends on a half double crochet set of stitches, all we're going to do is count up the next 2 available stitches and slip stitch into that second one. We're counting up 2 because the half double crochets are just a little bit taller. And then to work our way up to the following row, which is the last row in our 4-row repeat, we are simply going to slip stitch into that following stitch into the base, flip our work, and then repeat. Now, I know the following row starts with half double crochets as well, but the half double crochets aren't super tall to where we need to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches to get the same height. We just need to adjust it for this one so that it doesn't stretch out too much. But all we're going to do from here is flip our work, and then start off our following row with 4 back loop half double crochets, and that's it. We do want to make sure that we're not working into any of those slip stitches that we did into the base, but we're just going to continue to repeat our 4-row repeat, connecting it into the base the same way that we just did together, making our way all the way around. When we don't have any more stitches left to work into, I'll meet you back so we can seam everything together. So we are back. The entirety of our sleeve is complete. Now all we're going to do is seam it up the same way that we did for the shoulders and for the sides, so I'm actually just going to talk you guys through it. We're all going to make sure their work is flipped wrong side out so that all of our seams are along the outside. Once we do, we're just going to do our single crochet seam till we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then repeat on the other side. We are back. Both of our sleeves are complete. Now we're going to do our bottom band. So what we're all going to do is start by inserting our hook into any one of the siders that we have along the bottom of our piece, making sure that everything is still flipped right side out. Then all we're going to do from here, just like how we single crocheted across the top of our shoulders, 1 single crochet is going to be worked into every side row, making our way all the way around, and then I'll meet you back. So we are back. Our single crochet row along the bottom of our piece is complete. We did do a chain up of 1 and cut, and now we're just going to single crochet across the bottom of all of our holes. So what we're going to do is just single crochet, putting 1 single crochet into every side row for both of our armholes, and the same for our neckline. And then once we made our way all the way around for everything, we are all done. Do a chain up of 1 and cut, weave in all your ends, and we are completed. There you have it. Hope y'all enjoyed the tutorial. Join us on Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. Those links are down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Catch y'all in the next one. Bye!